So I got some stuff for me. I got some of this black construction paper here. Just this a little higher. Go. A bit better there. Okay. Hopefully that's not too shaky. Okay. Let's say I want to take this drawing. Yeah, let's take this one because it's not really regular, like it's less measurable. Take a pencil. So to go from that to a larger one, let me just grab a piece of paper over there. If not, right here. All right, so I think what I will do is just on this make a 5 by 10. This is 8.5 by 11, so I can only get one on here. As I showed you before, I'm going to start 1 inch from the edge, add 10, go to the 11. Oops. 1 inch from the edge, add 10, go to the 11. So I have 2 marks, 1 inch from the edge, and then I go 10. Just double check to make sure I didn't goof that up. That's 10. That's 10, good. So then I will do this. Moving this down, good. So now I'll do 5. I'm just going to come in on the center of this approximately. 5. Let's start with 2. 5. 2 plus 5 equals 7. So it's something I do, it's a drafting trick. I was never that good at drafting. Turn the pencil when I make the line. That keeps the line weight fairly even. Okay, good. So now I've got this image here. Let's see. I want bigger shapes like this. Get the, like this is an HB drawing pencil, which is basically the same thing as this regular like Ticonderoga pencil here. Why don't I just use the Ticonderoga? So this shape is this leaf shape, flame shape is it's very flexible what I can do with it here. So I can look at this drawing as a model. Just tear that out so I can set them one on top of the other. There. That's very nice, just like that. Okay. So this one here. Now, going from the smaller drawing to the larger drawing, you get a much better idea of the shape you're going to be cutting out when you go into the final version of this. And I really think it's important when you're doing this to think about like the space in between them. These are going to be black. And when you have them close together like this, you get this little channel of space in between them that can start to create its own shape. Okay, so I am going to bring this in here. Okay. And so I've got this path here flowing. So what I can first do, I think making a drawing there are a lot of ways I can do this correctly or close enough to it. I'll do another one that's more of a, let's see, that's, now one thing I can see also here, in this drawing, this is smaller than I'm doing for the finished version of it. And those are very small, and I'm not concerned about whether or not I can cut those out. These, I want to try to draw this in such a way that I would be able to cut them out. So if I have little babies like that, little fella right there, I don't know that I can cut that out. So I'm going to say, no, don't make them that small. In the olden days, I used to use, I might use something like a photocopier and just take like this drawing, enlarge it on the photocopier, like twice the size or slightly less, and then clean up the drawing there. But this, okay, so this is not too crowded. It doesn't look as good as that, which means I got too much stuff up here. So going from the first drawing to the second drawing is not just necessarily a matter of copying it. I'm really redrawing it. And this is, oh, that's too hard of a pencil. All right, so really what this is, this is like a model for what I might do. And this drawing, the first drawing is the first step. This is another step along the way. In design, a freehand sketch like this is still something very valuable. Finished work is done with digital media, Photoshop, Illustrator, AutoCAD, Revit, SketchUp, all these different programs for different different types of design work. But the ability to sit down and make a sketch like this is way faster. If you're talking to someone about a design, and you're just at the very beginning of the process of visualizing it, it's really helpful if you're comfortable enough to sit down and just start drawing something. Because here you can like try something and see, oh, no, that's not going to work. And you can correct it before you spend the time to very carefully build it in some digital program, which takes a long time, you don't want to find out that, like, oh yeah, I should have thought about that a little bit more before I spent hours creating it in SketchUp. So I am a proponent of learning to draw by hand, freehand especially. You can use a straight edge to draft some of these things, but drawing freehand is a really useful skill. When people see that you can draw freehand, they just assume you know what you're doing. So it's a really good demonstration of competence. Okay, so there I have a larger version of that. And that's not too bad. Maybe I need to make this a little thinner here. Yeah, a little bit thinner here. Not so crowded, that's better. I don't want it to look like it's just too dense. Maybe I see like test, so challenge how small I can make these. Okay. Okay, so you'll do this with 3 of your small drawings. You want me to look at them on Thursday, I can, but I would like you to make at least one of them. Actually, I prefer you just take 3 of them. You decide which ones are good. Make 3 that are 5 by 10. Okay? So, all right, now, let's talk about making this in paper. So black paper here, I think I might just start by snipping off a piece of this. Don't use scissors to try to cut straight edges. I'll show you like cutting straight edges in just a sec here. But like, I can see I've got like an approximate size. That'll cover that up. Just make sure you can see clearly what I'm doing. So I'm going to try to make this. I showed you this in class. Cutting freehand with scissors. Slowly close the scissors, turn the paper. Try it. Yeah. Well, things don't always go exactly as you plan. Look at that. Not too bad. I could probably make that a little smoother. So if I can see I've got, about that size, this piece that I cut off is the right height for a lot of them. So I'm just going to try to make sure that I don't have to stop in the middle. I just keep the scissors going down and I keep the paper moving. And they'll look approximately like what I want. I can use the fragment of that for there. Oops, sorry. Make sure that I'm actually on camera here. Okay. Nice thing with the black paper, you can, if you don't like one direction, you can turn it over and make another direction. Okay. And some of these you might think like, blah, that's not very good. I could take this one and make it smaller, since I will need some smaller ones out here. So, there'll be a lot of scrap pieces of black paper that you might use, you might not. and I can, oh shoot, in that corner like that. I don't know, it's not really in my drawing. Let's try to make it really small. You're doing this, watch your fingers. It's very easy. Like if I'm like holding this piece of paper, I'm like, no, don't cut yourself. That's my advice. If you know, and if you are doing this, if you think like I'm not sure if my fingers are a little too close, go slowly. So if you do feel the blade of the scissors, then you can stop. Now this, if I want to cut here something small, I'm going to hold the piece of paper at the end. Use my pinky though. There, see that's where you got to be careful, you're inside there. And it's cutting way farther inside. Get my fingers out of there. Once there, hold this. There. Okay, so that's one way you can cut these, and this is actually moving along here. So you can see I can arrange them by, you know, this being a collage. I can just kind of push these together or separate them as I want to. So the drawing underneath is a suggestion. Now, if you have a cutting mat, you should use your cutting mat for this next spot. If you don't have a cutting mat, well, here's your adjustment. Take the Bristol pad, flip it over, and you can see that I've already been cutting on this. And it's like magic. Now I'm going to grab some drafting dots. Watch out for my camera, sorry about that. Tape this down. I'll tape it down here and here. I want the end free because I want it to be able to come off of there. I've got the knife here. If your knife has like a package of blades and it doesn't have the blade in it yet, watch this. With this knife, you hold the collar, turn this left to the left or counterclockwise, and loosen it. Don't go too far because then this whole thing will fall off of there. You can put it back together, but you know, there's some like little piece in there that'll probably like, if it falls and then like it's off on the floor and then it rolls and who knows where it ends up, then you got a useless knife. So now there's a slot here that the blade gets in there. Be careful holding this, but then I'll hold it. Hold the that collar and then turn to the right. All right. Now, if I'm too far away from that, I might not get good results there. So, with this tape down, and it's better if you're cutting closer to where the tape is. But I can just pull this. I want to hold it at the top, otherwise it'll bunch up on me. There, that's maybe even better. I think I have a little better control doing it this way. Now I do need to move that. If you've got a roll of tape, then I would probably you can just tape it across the top and the bottom. Careful. If you carefully pull the drafting tape, it won't rip the paper. So it's designed that way. Okay. So again, yeah, and you kind of see as I'm trying to do this, I see where the paper is pulling, wants to pull away and kind of bunch up. So if I tape it like that and secure it, then I'm trying to make a really like bitty one. I can cut it out of the middle. But make sure your cut goes all the way, and I can just pick it up just like that. If you're gluing these down, you can just put some of the rubber cement on the back, stab it, hold it down, take a pencil, pick this up. The rubber cement will stick it, and then you let it dry. Just like that. Here. There. All right. So something like that. And yeah, so you can see once you get going and you know how you're cutting these things and what you're making them of, it doesn't go fast necessarily, but you can see how the work can progress steadily. Okay, now, what about something like this one with straight rectangular pieces? Well, I could freehand the cutting, and actually, it actually is something that you could do, but you don't have to freehand the cutting. Okay, so here, let me show you freehanding the cutting. Straight like that. Not bad. And for this assignment, they don't have to be perfect rectangles. They can be close and understood as rectangles. And, that would be fine. Put that there. First, I'm going to cut the short way. And I'll cut the long way and approximate, hold it down at the top. Firm pressure, a sharp blade will cut through. If the blade's getting dull, it's going to start to, the paper might start to look torn. All right, there we go. And then we have these things here. Simple rectangle like this, I could, as long as I can make that nice and straight, I could just cut that, do that. But if you're making long cuts with the scissors, they're not going to be straight. They'll more than likely just be kind of wobbly. And making something that's very rigid with a very deliberate rectangle, that's very different than making something that's an approximate, rectangle that's a little dodgy. So, not that one way is necessarily better than the other, but there are different reasons. You don't necessarily want something that's close. Sometimes you want exactly the rectangle. So you can see where this side, as I cut it with the scissors, is not even. I'll use this straight edge from the side that was from the edge of the piece of paper. I'm going, oh, careful, that paper. get enthusiastic about what I'm doing. And my tablet looks like it's tilted just a little bit. It makes the bottom of the sheet look a little larger than it really is. See if I can fix that. It's a little bit. The weight of this tablet is a little much for the holder. That's okay. Hopefully you get the idea. Now, marks on here. Enlarge this just a little bit. If I want these rectangles to be 1/4 of an inch wide, 1/4 of an inch wide, 1/4 of 1 inch, I will make marks at, I can start at any inch mark. I'll let this hit the 9 is right on the edge. 1/4 of an inch is there. 1/4 of an inch is there. There and 4. So from 9 to 8, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 marks. F and 1. All right, so those are pretty close. You can see the graphite's a little shiny, so you can see that. I'm not going to use this as the drafting scale as a straight edge with my knife, because this is something that's meant to be, this is meant for measuring, not cutting. I had one when I was in high school, and I used it for cutting, and I found it after I'd gone to college, and it was all cut up, and you couldn't read some of the markings on it. Metal ruler is over here. Okay. There. Stop shaking. Sorry about that. The holder for the tablet is mounted to a stool sitting next to the table, so that if it's mounted to the table, it tends to bounce around and shake kind of a lot, but still does if I walk around on the floor. Imperfect systems. Okay, so here I'm lining this up at, there's a mark there, and there's a mark. Sometimes the graphite's a little hard to see on this. Maybe I should grab a white colored pencil. There. Make sure that this is there. See that a little bit better. All right, so I've got 1/4 inch markings for these strips here. And when I set the ruler down, I also want to look and make sure that I do see that it's that it looks even across that edge. Sometimes you make a mistake. Sometimes I read the ruler and just don't really pay attention to what I'm doing, really. And I'll look at it and see like why does it look like that? It's because you made an error. Good. That's good. Firm pressure. Score that twice. Leave that tape down. I'm just going to go to the next one. My habit is to put the point of the knife down, slide the straight edge up to it. Oh, hi, Elliot. Elliot's here to make sure I'm doing a good job. I hope I am. There. Your butt's in the way, Elliot. Almost. Good. Straight. Firm pressure. You don't have to really. If you use too much pressure, you know, your thumb is right here. If I'm like, it's paper and this is a knife. Sometimes it can be surprising that the knife won't go through in one cut, but sometimes it just doesn't. It's not even all the way through. So just, I've got it a couple times. Sometimes it takes 3. Elliot, move your butt. Okay. There and there. Okay. There is the tail that never stops. There is one little man. You gotta move your butt. Okay. I think I might just. So I think with these short edges, you want to be careful you're not cutting them at an angle. There. So now I've got pretty even. Yes, if your kitty gets them, then they're useless. At least to you. They're not useless to him. They're fun. Of course, they see strandy things. They think it's something to play with. All right, so I can see my, these are not quite the same width, but they're pretty close. I'm going to use this and approximate my rectangle. Oh, ouch. Stop it. Giving us some idea of the size. There we go. Oh, that's great. No. All right. So now we can start to cut these different lengths. And I can start to arrange them. Where's my drawing? Oh, it's on the other side of that. You can see I had a bunch of them here. I think I want to make these a little offset. Yeah, that's better. Something maybe a little closer. So similar to the that flame leaf shape, I can just like cut a bunch of these and then just start sliding them around. Longer. I can also see, like, based on the drawing I did first, these are about, you can see this a little bit underneath here. What I cut is about the width of what I drew for the smaller scale. I should probably cut some of these at 1/2 inch wide so I can use them for the larger, darker areas. There we go. Good. So something that I talked about elements of perspective on Thursday. If these are spaced out more closer to you and they get closer together gradually as they seem to get farther away, then you'll have that perspective illusion that the space between them gets smaller. So if I say they're kind of receding this way, I want them to go whoop, and I'll maybe like make a vanishing point or something off of the image. Then they'd be farther apart here. And then closer together, closer to each other. There. So that is what I wanted to show you. Are there any questions about that?